Hello. For my video summary, I did Freedom Riders. It's one of my favorite movies. I'd actually seen all the videos on the list, so I decided to do my favorite one since I'd seen them all. It's really one of the ones that inspired me to want to teach in inner city schools since I was 17 when I saw it for the first time. So, it was interesting to look at it from the perspective of a future educator rather than just a 17-year-old, and from looking for the effective and the compromising qualities that she has. So I thought that I'd start with the compromising because she starts out a bit of a rough patch. She's a first-time teacher, and so it makes sense to start with that since those are in the beginning. So for compromising, I thought that she kind of started off on the wrong foot with the way that she dressed. In schools like that, I think that it's really important to be professional, but you have to find the line between being professional and being overdressed, being fancy, because those kids can't afford what you're wearing, and that automatically makes a bigger gap between you. So I think it's good to find this place between professional and overdressed if you're going to be teaching in a school like the school that she was teaching. One of the main things that I think happened at the beginning was she didn't stop disrespect whenever it first happened in the classroom. I think whenever she turned around to write something on the board and a student made a lewd comment about her, and she said nothing. She ignored it. And then after that, there were about another 5 disrespectful remarks that were made because she didn't say anything about it, and she didn't say anything about any of those. So she never really stood up for herself. She never told them that they needed to be respectful in the classroom. There was never any discipline for that. And a lot of that started from the fact that she didn't begin her classroom first day with her expectations. She didn't let them know what was expected of them from the very first day. And so students don't know what's expected of them. They're going to do whatever they want. A lot of time that comes out as disrespect, especially in the school that she's in. And so because she didn't set up expectations and because she didn't stop the disrespect, they continued to disrespect her day after day after day, and she a lot didn't say anything until towards the middle of the movie, when she not the middle of the movie, maybe like 30 minutes in, when she finally said, "That's not the way you're going to behave in my classroom," and she finally stood up. But she said something about it, but then she didn't back it up for a long time. But eventually, later on throughout the movie, after she gains the respect, after she gets their trust, and they start trusting her, then they start to give her more respect. And then another thing is whenever she asks them to do something, she says please. And one of the first things that we learned in our methods class is that you don't say please. You don't say please stop doing that. You say stop doing that, because they need to stop doing that. It's really not a request. Something that I have to say to my students often whenever I say something and they continue to do the opposite. I say it's not a request. You need to do this. But she wasn't firm in that. And so because she first of all didn't stop the disrespect, and then she said please whenever she made requests of them to stop something, it's not going to do anything, especially with the kids that she had. Also, something that I noticed was that she had no idea what to do in an emergency. And I know she's a first-time teacher, but you have to know what to do in an emergency. You have to know the procedures. But if I'm being honest, at that point in the movie, even if she did know what to do, the students wouldn't have listened to her anyway. So it goes back and forth on that. But eventually throughout the movie, as she learns more about the students, as she learns their stories, she does gain more of their respect. They learn to really love her. And so I guess that's a good bridge into her effective things that she does. So one of the things that she starts with is she tries to relate what the students are doing to real life, to things that they go through. And that's really important, especially with kids in schools such as this. You know, they don't think that they're good enough to go to college because that's what they've been told all their lives. And so they think that school is pointless. So the best thing that she can do is to relate what they're learning back to real life. So when she did that with rap and poetry. She said, well, we're going to learn poetry today. Here's some rap songs. They're a lot like poetry. And that got them. They were actually paying attention. And then from there, she did what she calls the line game, which is one of the most emotional parts of the movie. She asked students to stand on the line. If she thinks she starts out with something like, who has the new Tupac album? And they stand on the line. But then it goes to, you know, who knows somebody that's in a gang? Who knows somebody that has been killed because of gang affiliation? And then she goes on to ask how many. And that is a really powerful point in the movie, because she's showing them that they do have things in common, even though they're in these different cliques. They have things in common, no matter if they're Latino or Black or Asian, they have things in common, and that was really a core part of that movie. That's also whenever she introduces the journal, and the journal is a really, really, really effective tool that she has, because she asks them to write down their story. She asks them to give her their story, and the only rule that she has is that they have to write in it every day, and she tells them, I won't read it unless you want me to read it. And I think that that was really important and something that really made them want to do it. And then they put it in there, and the first time she reads it, she just has stacks and stacks of book, and that was just so influential. And then there's another time when a student was being made fun of, and then she poses the question, well, would it be funny if it were you? And he says, well, it's not me. And she takes that learning moment and talks about Hitler and shows them that what you're doing isn't okay. And she not only relates it to make it a teaching moment, but she also doesn't let that bullying continue there. And I think that that is very effective, because a lot of times we want to just brush it off. And she took that and she turned it into a teaching moment. And she went, there's so many things I could say about this movie, but she really just went so far with her kids. And it was so influential with them because she actually took time to try to understand them and try to know what they're going through. So she might have started off rough, but she ended very effectively and had an impact on her students.